In today's episode, hello. Vastuna. In today's episode, we are in conversation with a very dear school friend of mine,
She's the founder and creative director of a sustainable clothing brand.
and we are going to learn about her entrepreneurial journey.
Stop. How
So
are you
just-
doing?
Just give us 1 minute, okay? 1 minute.
We've been busy.
What?
So he's awake. We tried our best.
Put him down for a nap, right?
What? Oh, so cute.
All right. So let me get started. Hi, Priyanka. Welcome to our podcast show. What's your Sankalp with your Monica and Sankalp?
For
Cute.
me and for Monica, we know who you are because obviously we did our background and homework, and I know you personally, right? So for the listeners who are, the audience, I guess a little bit of an elevator pitch maybe of who you are today.
Me by profession, by education, I'm a financial analyst. So I studied international business. I did a SEM in the US, came back, was still struggling with finance, wasn't sure if it was for me. Then I still went ahead, traveled a little bit, traveled a lot actually, took a year's break, traveled like crazy, and then came back. Got a job at Wells Fargo, worked as a financial analyst for a few months. While I was doing this, I was also freelancing in styling, so fashion styling, assisting, and stuff like that. And I used to enjoy that so much more. So then I took a small break and decided to do my course in fashion designing. First, I thought it would be just styling, but then I went ahead, did my master's in fashion designing, and then the lockdown happened. So I didn't get to work anywhere. I had no experience. I didn't know what to do. And all the time, all those 2 years I had in lockdown. So my research project was about sustainable fashion. So as I dwell deeper into it, there was so much more to know. There was a whole other world to know
Right.
and experience
Right.
that at that point of time was this, how do people not know about this?
Right.
So that's when I took up the challenge to source this materials because it's quite difficult. So as Common Sense, we use only plant-based fabrics,
Okay.
and all our clothes are made of plant waste. We don't use anything that's grown for the purpose of making clothes. So we try to repurpose everything. So we have from a range of lotus, banana, aloe vera, milk, corn, rose, etc. So there's a lot that we are experimenting at the time.
Okay.
Just that what I have realized is in this there's not a lot of research done
Right.
because it is expensive. And again, this is easily available to us in India, but it's not been developed because it takes a lot of research.
Right.
So yeah, each collection for us, it's been like a slow brand because each collection takes us anywhere from 6 months to 1 year to develop,
Right.
to research about the fabrics and all the fabrics we're doing. So we get these fabrics specially made for us, and we get all of them certified. So every day it's just not fashion, there's a lot of R&D. So I handle the accounts, then we have social media, then we have websites, then we have a whole bunch of SEO to do, a whole bunch of content creation to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, my day pretty much starts and ends with that.
That's what a typical day in the life of an entrepreneur looks like, right?
Yeah. And
Juggling
right now, yeah. And right now, I think from Jan, I really wanted to help a few fellow brands. So I've been in business for 1 year, but I have had experience in social media, and I've done a small course in social media management and stuff. So I know the kind of gap there is in market in Hyderabad, especially for a
Right.
lot of new brands. There's a lot of new brands popping up, but they don't know how to market and stuff. So I have, from whatever I have learned, so from Jan this year, I've started my own social media management as well. So I have been handling a few pages, like one or two right now. Probably will have to register that as well. So yeah,
This
hands are
I
full right
asked for an elevator pitch, and this it looks like this building has 100 floors
them.
because you took wow, that was a lot. But
Yeah, good.
And how difficult was that? Because from what I'm hearing, you basically started from scratch.
yeah,
Yeah.
Even though the industry is like pretty, the fashion industry is pretty well established, but then, sustainable clothing is something that's relatively newer, right?
Yes,
And then
yes.
also your brand does only, clothes that are sourced from plant waste. And that this
Yes.
is something so new. I've never heard anything like this before.
So exactly. So when I was doing my research on this, so those 2 years I spent, I almost have like a 200-page thesis just on these fabrics and how the market is right now and what kind of gaps we have in the market right now. But yeah, that's why I named it Common Sense, because at that point of time it felt like common sense, but we were just not aware. We were just that educational gap has always been there in our system.
Right.
So we're like totally unaware of it. So hence we're trying to write blogs and do lot of lifestyle content to make people aware of what this is and how this can like reshape the industry.
So you talked about sustainability a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps the planet and all of that, right? What you're doing with your clothing and everything.
Correct.
So why is that a lot of brands do not do this already? Is it expensive
It
or
is shit expensive, let me tell you that.
okay,
So it's been around 1.5 years since I started the brand, like 1 year since it's been in the market, but 1.5 year. And like the latest struggle that we have had is we've been trying to develop this collection. So this is our gateway into menswear or like androgynous fashion. So we've been trying to develop this for the past 8 to 10 months, and this is only 7 shirts. This is a collection of 7 shirts, which is taking us so long because the fabric is so difficult to procure. And then what we do is we digitally print these fabrics. So a lot of Indian brands or a lot of brands, if you see, they all like screen printed or hand printed or hand painted or
right,
hand dyed. So which is why it's a little more blander on the palette.
right,
So the whole risk of it going through the process of digital printing, nobody takes up. So we've
mhm,
been trying to do it a little more like, fashionable next gen, so that people, it doesn't have to be boring for it to be sustainable. It can be fun as well, which
yeah.
I think is the biggest gap that's there in the market. So we're
Absolutely.
trying to like, work hard towards that. But yeah, it's a lot of headache,
So
which
you're
is why
saying
I don't think a lot of brands are doing it.
so you're saying both the material and also the equipment that is required for
The
this,
whole process that it goes through, like the all the stages that it has to go through, from getting the fabric to printing these kind of fabrics to like being able to then do a post production on it, is a lot of cost.
right?
So like, from what the market value is, if I cost my clothes at those price points right now, my clothes can range anywhere from 15K to 55K, and we
Oh,
are right now ranged between 3,500 to 16,000.
right.
So
Okay.
right now, that's the risk that we are taking to build as a brand. But at the end of the day, I'm hoping it will turn to something good.
Right.
Because not a lot of people will be willing to go through this whole process of like investing and investing and not getting the returns, because it's a very competitive market at the end of the day.
Your background as a financial analyst, like how much does that sort of help you in what you're doing today? Or did you ever think that it would help you in this way?
Mhm.
Not at all, but actually a lot, especially initially when I had to register the company in terms of setting up the accounts, like, getting the prices done. I was pretty much my own CA. I did my own finances for the longest time. And then I had my boyfriend's help, who's like been there. So he's also like into business. So it's been a lot of help. So, but yeah, it's pretty much been me doing everything. It was a lot of help because
Yeah.
I had at least the basics of my knowledge on how to like attract people, like how to sell a product. So I think that was very helpful.
Yeah, I can totally understand. Even though the idea of this podcast show came to my brain, but the execution of it came through her own hands, right? So it takes a team, to get that success. But
100%,
what's been
100%.
the biggest challenge that you can think of, or is it still there? Those challenges that come to you even today?
Yeah. So I have a lot of challenges in terms of, again, when it comes to our fabric. So our core of the brand is fabrics. So at the end of the day, our most problematic is also our fabrics, because again, like I said, due to how much of a research that is done on that, there's a lot of fake stuff out there. There's a lot of brands promoting or like greenwashing stuff. There's a lot of brands like, who are not putting the right kind of information out there. So that has been our biggest challenge in terms of educating people or getting, being able to deliver the product that we want to. It's been our biggest challenge. So
Right.
that takes a lot of our energy on work on a daily basis to like verify all of this and like, see through all of these processes. So it's a very slow and time taking process. So though the rest of the team in terms of design, in terms of procurement of the fabric, everything is done, then again a lot of like, work goes into the post production and all that stuff. So that is the most challenging for us to like keep up with these vendors. So that's like another whole entire backend that we have to like struggle with every day.
How do you give a taste of what you do to the audience or the buyers, right? Like for example, food, like sustainable food or whatever,
Yeah.
you probably like free samples or whatever, right? So how do you try to connect with the buyers? Yeah.
Buyer. So right now, we've been trying to do like good amount of pop-ups. So we thought this is where people actually come and get to experience what this is. And for
Right.
us, since the beginning, we've had a lot of, for me, business has been good because of those repeated customers. So whenever I
Right.
did a pop-up, the kind of people that we picked up and the kind of people that have followed or bought from us have like rebought a lot of times. And that's how it's been good so far. And of course, I want to grow this a lot. But yeah, it's mainly through pop-ups that we can educate people, because
Right.
to have a store and stuff at this point is a lot of like overheads and stuff which I don't want to invest in. I'd rather invest this amount of money in marketing what I have,
Right.
in having people experience what this is, rather than putting that amount of money in putting up a store, because
Right.
that would still be like a certain amount of crowd and a certain type of crowd coming, not everybody like and I wanted this brand to be worldwide. That's why as soon as we started also I made sure we have worldwide shipping. And also apart from Instagram, we also do Pinterest marketing, and we have a lot of like UK based customers, like which has been growing, and we have been seeing a lot of traffic divert to our website from these customers.
Okay.
So yeah.
Was that a shock? You said UK based customers have been a selling point for you. Was it a shock?
Not really, because so my social media manager is actually from the UK.
Oh, okay.
So she was very sure that Pinterest would be good for us, because so with Instagram, the thing is, so what I have analyzed or I have done my share of market study, and what I have realized is Instagram, one fine day, we've had these 2 days where Instagram was down and we didn't know what to do. So
Right.
like, and especially with the technology and stuff like that, it's very finicky. We don't know what will happen at what point of time. So we
Right.
wanted to have a safe space where we
Okay.
also have a store and everything, we display our products and stuff like that. And I think in the US and UK are one of the biggest markets in Pinterest, and people
Okay.
actually in these locations shop through Pinterest as well.
Oh, wow.
So that's why we also wanted to have a different hub other than Instagram where we can sell our products.
I have never heard of another platform other than Instagram where people do their most promotions today. That is unique to hear. Pinterest.
Yeah,
Wow.
because a lot of people, especially for clothes, for beauty, for any kind of inspo these days, I think a lot of people use Pinterest. And in
Right.
India, it's been growing like crazy. We've had meetings with Pinterest India and stuff like that, who have
Okay.
like offered to help us grow because they want to
Right.
bring Pinterest shop in India as well.
Right.
And there are not a lot of brands doing this, and we were like really surprised when we got a mail from Pinterest India, because we are like, how, like, why are they, we're not even a big brand, we barely have a few followers, but they were like, not a lot of people are working on this in India, but they
Get
have like huge teams working on this in the UK, in the US, and other parts of the world.
That's
So
nice.
yeah.
How much do you try to get your brand on like events and stuff like sponsors and those kind of stuff? Do they come to you, or how much of an effort do you have to put in to put yourself out there?
So with a few pop-ups like that locally, so I think locally in Hyderabad we've had a good amount of reach from the pop-ups that we've done earlier for the
Okay.
brand. But
Right.
then after that, I thought it would be good to like initially only do these pop-ups in other states as well, because I didn't want this to be constrained to Hyderabad.
Right.
So that's when, like, within I think a few months, we did a pop up in Delhi, and then we did one in Mumbai recently.
Right.
So yeah, I've been trying to like travel to get across across this brand, not just in Hyderabad, because I think from my analysis in general in India, this kind of fashion is lacking. So, and I'm really interested in doing shows and taking the brand to the next level. So that's why that takes a lot of work to keep my legitimacy every day. Like we have to pay so much for certifications of these fabrics and stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a lot of work.
What about the creative process of it, Priyanka? Like, how difficult it is to stay away from what is already out there in terms of design and those colors and everything. It's so difficult, I must assume, to create something which is very unique, because today when I in India, when I go to a mall, I see the same shirt or a design or a color in all the brands that are out there on the same floor, right? Like, which is like 20, 20, 30 brands. How difficult is it for you to sit down and do that creative work? Yeah.
So most of our creative work starts at least 6 months to 8 months before the product is actually launched. So this not only is about the fabrics, this also takes time for the the whole creative process. And for us, uh, trends and color forecasting is what we do at that point of time as well, but our inspiration for common sense is 100% from nature. So everything we do is nature inspired in some or the other way, tells a story, talks about the nature. So in those terms, so whatever is attractive right now, so the last collection we made is called Project Reconnect. So this
Okay.
has been more about talking a lot about, so all the shirts are named like differently. So we have repurpose, we have reflection, we have reformation. So like all of this that talks about sustainability, and then the graphic prints on these shirts also talk a lot about sustainability. So that way I feel like designs don't repeat, or in that for that matter they're not similar or copied in any way.
Right.
So yeah, because it comes from the nature, it can be anything at that point of time, what strikes our mind or what we think fascinates us. We are planning on making something out of fungi, so right now we have a lot about fungi on our mind. We're seeing how to like develop this. So it is an interesting process. It's my most favorite process, I would say, of the whole design.
Is there a thing called copyright in fashion, or
No,
no, there's
you
not?
cannot copyright a design. But
Right.
yeah, we have been trying to get into a little bit of AI, like create a small, a small common sense universe on the metaverse, so that we can also like these designs and prints that we develop, if we could convert them into NFTs and uh, copyright them, then I feel like that would be something that would work for us. But I don't know how well or how amazing that would work. That is still something we're trying out.
That's interesting. Any other technology or equipment that you probably want to explore, like 3D printing? Is that something you guys do?
Yeah, I think 3D printing is still a little very difficult in India right now
Okay.
because of the whole availability of that kind of technology.
Yeah. Yeah.
So whatever has been there so far also has been people who have like spent that kind of money and bought it here. There's nobody outsourcing this kind of work right now. So
Right.
yeah, if there is something that like that comes to India, then I'll be the first one using that technology.
That is great. Yeah, definitely you should give that a shot, because I think that will open a really broader space and audience and market for you, right? Also, like like it's not a lot of people who use such kind of a technology, so it's easy to be unique and stand out, right? So who's been your inspiration, though? I'm sure there must be a lot of people that you look up to, or as a little kid, maybe you looked up to someone. Their the way they were dressed out, or their attires and how they carry themselves. Is it your mom, or sister, or someone that you know?
Honestly, I have never thought, or I never even answered this question throughout my life of who is your role model, because I have never had one.
Okay.
Ever. There was no role model or somebody like, if you ask me right now, or if you ask this question 10 years ago or 15 years ago, even I would not know what to say,
Yeah.
because I think for me, it's always been like whoever is on the top, I look up to them. It's never been a single person.
Right. Right.
So I've looked up to so many people in their own fields, like, who have excelled in what they did. So I
Yeah.
have like creative role models in like fashion, or let it be in racing, or let it be in music, or like, different things. So I haven't had a single role model ever,
Yeah, I guess
unfortunately.
you have to learn skills and traits from various kinds of people in various kinds of their art and professions, right? to be able to
Yeah,
successful at what you do. Like, I think being a jack of all trades is something that you have to be every single day to
yeah,
excel an entrepreneur, right?
correct.
How difficult is it to, always keep learning? It's no less than doing a PhD, research or something like that.
100%, 100%. So I think when it comes to that, like how far I have come and how far, like, I see I've come, I wouldn't want to go back. I think that's something that keeps pushing me, and I'm very happy with where I am right now. And like at this pace, if there is growth, I'm very happy to see where it takes me 4 years down the lane. So I
Hmm.
think for me, that's what motivates me on a daily basis. And of course, people talking about it, people telling me how much they learn, people telling me how it feels, of course, is a crazy booster for me. But other than that, yes, to see how far it's come is what pretty much motivates me
No,
every day.
absolutely. A lot of people and a majority of people, it's difficult for them to look at themselves as inspiration. And here you are, you're doing that, right? You're giving credit to yourself and, also a pat on your back to, how much you've already done.
Yeah,
And
I think as an entrepreneur, if I don't have that, it gets really difficult. The moments, like, of course, I have moments of self doubt, and I don't know. Like sometimes I'm just confused, or when the day comes to the decision making, it is quite difficult. But yeah, for good or worse, it's what I have to do, is what I think. So yeah.
that is insane. Your advice to someone starting out there, maybe for your own younger self. I don't know if you will, let give spoilers to your own younger self, but anyone out there, who's trying to be, trying to walk in a similar path like you are today, what do you have to say to be prepared for out there?
So for me, I feel like, especially in terms of fashion, I feel like there's a lot more to learn than what they teach you at college or anything like that. And there's a lot more to explore than what the non normal mainstream media tells you, that this is a profession that you have to do. There is
Right,
so many things people can do out there, like in the digital space. Like,
right,
I know so many people who hate doing like a job, or who hate doing something, like especially young people these days
yeah,
wouldn't want to sit and do a job, let it be IT or let it be any kind of job. There are so many other things. And I know there's been this huge influx of people running towards fashion, or towards like entertainment for that matter,
yeah,
without knowing which, like, if there is any other path. But if I could suggest something to myself, and I think if there was somebody, or if I had the knowledge that, social media or so many things out there that I could learn and, like, grow out of, that would be great. And I feel like people should do a little bit of research, learn a
yeah,
little bit. I wish I learned a little bit more. I wish I work somewhere else, and, like, it would have been much more easier, I think, for me, if I
yeah.
did work somewhere and, like, learn from somebody else, which I did not. And I think that, as underrated as that is a lot of knowledge, and it prepares you a lot to, like, expect things in business. So yeah,
Absolutely.
apart from that, yeah, there's a lot of things out there, man. Like, there's so much growing in the, digital space. There's so much growing in finance. There's so much growing in, like, social media. There's so many things for people to explore these days, rather than, like, sticking to something they're not interested in, is what I think.
All right. If you're enjoying the episode so far, you know the drill. Please make sure that you follow the podcast show on all streaming platforms, wherever you're listening to it on. And if you're on YouTube,
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.
let's go back to the episode.
Back to my show, guys.
Back to our episode. I have an important question for you. Is
Mhm.
what do you see happening for your brand in the near future, or like what are your goals for this brand specifically?
So, specifically for this, I really want to promote this as a lifestyle, and, like, have people to know this. So, like, how a lot of people, there have been a lot of industry giants who made these cotton, or at least given that knowledge to people, that these are the fabrics that are sustainable, these are the fabrics that are good, this is what our ancestry says is good for you. But other than that, there's been a lot of research, and there's been a lot of new ways to do it. Because if you see, cotton in many ways also is not very good in terms of how it's grown. So we try to use recycled cotton or repurposed cotton. So there has been a lot of new technology in this, and I feel like the more people know about this, it would be a much larger purpose. And I think this is something which is really important, and which is going to hit us very hard in the near future. and this is something that all of us have to work towards, but it's just been lacking. It's just human nature that we have been lacking in it. But yeah, this is gonna get very important, and I feel like the earlier we try to push something like this and educate people, the better for us. So my whole goal with Common Sense is mainly to educate people and to, like, put this out there and get people to, like, know what this is and
I
how
like
it's
that.
good for
Like
you.
that's also your philosophy, right? To like what drives you
Yeah,
to work every day.
yeah,
That's
exactly.
Yeah, one word that has been constant throughout this conversation has been the part where you said you want to educate and bring that knowledge out back to the people.
yeah, and make
So
more people aware,
yeah, beautiful that you want to make a difference, and that is what makes you authentic and unique, right? Apart from the business that eventually happens, the money that comes, but you're staying true to education. So that is very
I feel
beautiful.
like only in terms of business, the moment I work on it only for the purpose of making money, right now I'm not. And it's very, very, very easy to go off track if I don't have that kind of motivation or inspiration to, like, work towards that goal. If the goal is just money, then as soon as I get it, I won't really have any purpose left to do this.
Right.
So I think for any kind of business to have that life is very important, to have that purpose is very important. At the end of the day, we're people and not machines. So I think we are driven by purpose
Yeah.
in, like, many ways. So
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
beautifully summed up.
There's someone that she follows or looks on Instagram a lot of her content, and she recently decided to discontinue her own brand that
Brand, yeah.
she believed in a lot, and that the reason to that was because
Especially because of COVID and stuff.
Yeah.
She said that, production was affected, sourcing was affected, and everything just became so expensive that it just wasn't sustainable for her to run that fashion brand anymore. Which is
yeah,
sad because it was, nice to see someone working so hard at keeping their philosophy alive. So
yeah.
wish you lots of luck and
Thank you.
yeah, hopefully, everything that you hope to achieve is coming your way.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope one of your goals is also to have your clothing on those top fashion events, and people walking down the ramp with with
Yes,
your
that's what I said. At the end of the day, my goal after a few years is to do fashion shows, is to, like, do a lot of creative shows, do a
Right.
lot of interesting ways to, like, attract people and educate people about this again. So yeah, so that's why it's a lot of hard work in terms of keeping it authentic and, like, taking all these certifications. The
Yeah.
main purpose of that being so that we can be on a much more global platform.
Absolutely. But what a beautiful journey so far. I know so much more to go, but thank you for taking the time to share, a little bit about yourself and your journey so far. It's
Thank you
so
so
nice
much
to
for
read.
having me, guys.
It's so nice to read your title as founder and creative director of Common Sense, Priyanka. So
Thanks.
yeah, we're
I
so
was
proud.
so proud of myself when I put that up. Like, you have no idea. So,
Yep.
like, I decided the day, like, I turned 21. I was like, by 25, I don't have my own brand up and running, or if I'm not doing something, I'd be very sad. And I launched my brand literally 2 months before I turned 25. And, like, it was the best moment of my life to, like, so far at least, it was a very great, proud moment for me to put that. And I was so happy with myself. Yeah.
Thank you once again. Thank you. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
taking the
so
time.
Don't leave your
much, guys. But yeah, you guys are doing an amazing, amazing job.
Thank you,
Thank you
Priyanka.
so much.
Yeah, that's so
Thank
nice
you.
to hear. And
Yeah.
you will be able to do this whenever that is to come. I'm sure you wouldn't have, thought that you were able to do all of this, that you were able to do until today. If you were told back then in school
That's
that,
true.
oh my God, you'll be, there and everything, that must be shocking for you. But here you are, you did it. So you will, also do that.
Thank you for giving us like an insight into the, entrepreneur
Work.
life.
Of
Yeah.
course.
So what did we learn in today's episode with Priyanka?
I really like how, we're having this conversation today about sustainability and what it means to really work hard at a brand when you know that there's certain risks involved.
Competition.
And, looking at competition around you, especially because, as Priyanka said, it's so expensive, not just from the business perspective, but also in terms of, for the environment and what it means to make a difference.
Absolutely. It's truly beautiful to listen in to a young entrepreneur who's not just wanting to, make a business out of it, but also try to make a huge difference in her time on this planet and, to all the people out there through her work. We hope you enjoyed the episode.